There is a place where the air feels ancient, where the earth itself seems to breathe with steam and silence. Here, beneath skies that shimmer with auroras and clouds that drift across endless stretches of volcanic plains, the spirit of Iceland whispers to all who pause to listen. Mountains rise like forgotten giants, glaciers gleam like secrets kept in ice, and waterfalls tumble down moss-covered cliffs as if spilling the stories of 1,000 years. This is a land that moves slowly and powerfully, where time is measured not by minutes, but by the migration of birds, the thawing of rivers and the long golden hours of summer sunlight. It is a place that holds the echoes of sagas and the warmth of geothermal springs. In every gust of wind and quiet creak of ice, there is a lullaby, gentle and wild, ancient and new. So as night falls and the hush of sleep draws near, let us wander through Iceland together, from the quiet streets of Reykjavík to the vast open landscapes of the Highlands, from black sand beaches to emerald valleys. Our journey will unfold in stillness and awe. Breathe deeply now, and let the northern sky guide you into rest. Welcome to Bedtime Travel Stories, where soothing tales and gentle narrations take you on a tranquil journey through the world's most enchanting places, right from the comfort of your bed. Unwind and travel with us as we explore the globe one story at a time, helping you relax and drift into a peaceful sleep. Reykjavík, Iceland's capital, rises gently from the edge of the sea, a city both modern and rooted in deep tradition. Its colorful houses, each painted in warm reds, cool blues and soft yellows, seem to glow under the muted northern light, even in winter. The streets are calm, winding past cafes with fogged windows and shops filled with handmade wool and polished stones. There's a quiet rhythm here, a sense of welcome and peace that invites visitors to slow down and breathe. At the center of the city, Hallgrímskirkja towers above it all, its unique design echoing the basalt columns that form naturally along Iceland's coastlines. The view from its observation tower reveals a sweep of rooftops leading to snow-capped mountains beyond, the bay stretching out to meet the horizon. Even the wind here seems thoughtful, brushing through coats and scarves like a whispered greeting from the sea. Inside Reykjavík's cozy cafes, the scent of cinnamon pastries and fresh coffee lingers. Locals sip slowly and speak softly, while visitors pause to write postcards or plan quiet excursions into the countryside. There is a stillness that seeps in, like the hush before snowfall, making time feel gentle and long. Outside, steam rises from geothermal vents hidden among the streets, a reminder that beneath this peaceful surface, fire still stirs. The Blue Lagoon lies just a short drive from the city, nestled in a lava field. The milky blue waters are rich with minerals, steaming softly in the cold air. Guests sink into the warm depths, shoulders relaxing, breaths deepening. The water glows at twilight, and when the skies are clear, the aurora begins to flicker above. It is here, neck-deep in warmth, the sky alive with green ribbons of light, that many begin to understand what Iceland truly offers. For those staying in Reykjavík, The Retreat Hotel near the lagoon offers a quiet and luxurious escape where every detail, from soft linens to the deep silence of its private lagoon areas, encourages calm. The design, all glass and stone and wood, mirrors the land outside, allowing nature to flow in without sound. Guests often walk the lava paths in robes and slippers, steam curling around them like a dream. Night comes slowly in winter, stretching long across the city. Lamps glow golden in windows, and people wander home under skies dusted with stars. Some make their way to the harbor, where the lights reflect gently on the water, and the salty air carries a hush over the boats. The Harper Concert Hall sparkles nearby, its shifting facade catching hints of color from the heavens. Reykjavík is not grand in size, but in feeling it is immense. It wraps its arms around the traveler, offering safety and softness in a land known for the raw and wild. Here, one can begin the journey not with a rush, but with a breath. Leaving Reykjavík behind, the road unwinds across lava fields and mossy plains, leading toward Iceland's famed Golden Circle. This trio of natural wonders, Þingvellir, Geyser and Gullfoss, forms a route through landscapes that feel sculpted by time itself. The air grows colder and quieter, and even the birds seem to glide more gently through these skies. Along the roadside, the earth breathes steam from hidden vents, and the land shifts from black volcanic rock to soft fields of snow. At Þingvellir National Park, the ground itself is split by ancient tectonic forces. This is where the North American and Eurasian plates drift apart, creating deep rifts in the earth that glisten with icy water. The park is quiet, filled with history and solemn beauty. It was here that Iceland's first parliament gathered more than 1,000 years ago. Visitors walk slowly between the cliffs, the wind brushing against them like the voice of time. Further along the route, the geothermal field of Jökulsárlón hums and steams. The great geyser, which gave all geysers their name, now rests quietly. But nearby, Strokkur erupts every few minutes in a plume of boiling water and vapor. Each blast feels like a breath from the planet itself, sudden and mighty. Then gone again into stillness. Pools shimmer with iridescent blues and greens, their edges ringed with mineral lacework, fragile and strange. Gullfoss, the golden waterfall, waits at the end of the path. Here the Vita River plunges in 2 stages down a rugged canyon, roaring and beautiful. Mist rises in clouds from the falls, catching the light in fine prisms, while the surrounding cliffs are crusted with ice. Even in winter, the waterfall seems alive, eternal, endlessly moving forward. People stand wrapped in scarves and silence, watching the power, feeling small and grounded at once. Near the Golden Circle's heart lies Hotel Geyser, a serene and stylish retreat that blends comfort with the raw edge of nature. Large windows frame views of snowy hills and steaming earth, while inside, wool blankets and soft lighting offer warmth. Guests sip herbal tea by the fire or soak in outdoor hot tubs beneath a sky streaked with pale light. In this quiet, the body softens and the mind loosens its grip. The journey through the Golden Circle isn't about covering ground quickly. It's about standing still often and looking. Snowflakes fall in slow spirals. Ice clings to fence posts. Somewhere far off, a raven calls and then is gone. The world contracts to a breath, a moment, a glimmer. Driving back toward the capital in the fading light, the landscape seems dreamlike and eternal. The road reflects the soft orange of dusk, and the mountains turn to silhouettes. All is calm, and the heart begins to drift. The road to Iceland's southern coast unfurls like a ribbon through open silence, bordered by fields dusted in snow and distant hills cloaked in mist. As the landscape widens, so too does the feeling of space, of stepping away from the familiar and into something ancient and elemental. The horizon stretches far and flat in places, then suddenly gives way to towering cliffs or thundering waves. This stretch of Iceland feels more like a whispered secret than a destination. One of the first sights to greet travelers is Seljalandsfoss, a slender waterfall that cascades from a rocky cliff with quiet grace. In summer, one can walk behind its curtain of water, but in winter the path glistens with ice, and the spray turns to crystals that catch the pale light. The sound of the water never stops. It sings against stone and snow, a soft rhythm beneath the cold. Nearby, the smaller Glufrabui waterfall hides in a narrow gorge, waiting patiently to be discovered. Continuing eastward, Skogafoss roars into view, wide and mighty, framed by steep green walls that rise high above the valley. Even in the frozen season, water crashes down with unrelenting force, sending up clouds of mist that freeze on nearby stones. Rainbows often form here even in winter, arcing gently through the spray. Climbing the steps alongside the falls reveals a vast plateau above, quiet and blanketed in white, where the river begins again, smooth and calm. The coastline begins to change as black sand replaces snow, dark and fine like powdered obsidian. Reynisfjara Beach is unlike anywhere else, a place where basalt columns rise like organ pipes, and jagged sea stacks known as Reynisdrangar pierce the waves offshore. The Atlantic pounds the shore in deep rolling pulses. Visitors tread carefully here, watching the surf and listening to the wind weave through stone. Above the cliffs near the beach, the Dirole promontory offers a sweeping view of sea and sky. Puffins nest here in summer, but in winter the solitude deepens, and only the wind keeps watch. The sea glimmers with frost beneath the sun, and the air smells of salt and ancient rock. It is the kind of place that humbles quietly, without the need for grandeur. Tucked just inland, the Umi Hotel provides a cozy haven from the coastal chill. Floor-to-ceiling windows offer views of snow-dusted lava fields and the distant peak of Eyjafjallajökull, the volcano whose name few can pronounce but many remember. Inside, soft lighting and wool throws create an atmosphere of ease, while the silence outside makes rest feel natural, inevitable. The hotel's simplicity reflects its surroundings, uncomplicated, honest grounding. Nightfall on the south coast doesn't come with city lights or sound. Instead, it arrives slowly, slipping down the mountains and across the fields. Stars begin to blink awake, and when clouds part, the aurora dances once again, casting its shimmering spell across the black sands and waterfalls. Sleep comes easily here, as if the land itself is singing you to rest. Eastward along Iceland's southern route, the landscape becomes even more surreal. Fields of broken lava give way to sweeping plains of black sand, shaped by ancient glacial floods. Rising beyond them is Jökull, the largest glacier in Europe, a frozen giant that slumbers across the island's interior. The glacier's expanse is so vast, it feels less like a feature and more like a world unto itself, silent, shimmering, and eternal. Jökulsárlón, the glacial lagoon, is where ice meets ocean in a hush of stillness. Icebergs, freshly carved from the tongue of the glacier, drift slowly across the water, their shapes strange and ever-changing. Some are smooth and blue like polished gemstones, others jagged and white like fractured porcelain. Seals bob in the icy waters, occasionally lifting their heads before vanishing again beneath the surface. Across the road lies Diamond Beach, where those same icebergs are carried by the tide and washed ashore in glistening fragments. Against the jet-black sand, the ice looks like scattered crystal, glowing softly in the winter light. Waves rush around the frozen sculptures, carving and reshaping them with each breath of the sea. It is a place where contrast reigns, light and dark, motion and stillness, sea and sky. Nearby, the lesser-known Jökulsárlón lagoon offers an even quieter experience. Fewer visitors walk its shore, and the silence here is almost complete. The glacier looms overhead like a frozen cliff, its edges tinged with blue, and its crevasses glowing faintly in the dim sun. The wind moves gently over the water, and small pieces of ice clink together like distant bells. In this remote place, the mind finds a rare and welcome calm. At the edge of the Vatnajökull region sits Foss Hotel Glacier Lagoon, a modern retreat nestled in the wilderness. Floor-to-ceiling windows bring the raw beauty indoors, while soft interiors provide warmth and rest. Even the meals feel grounding, fresh fish, warm bread, and berry compotes that evoke the wild outside. Guests watch the aurora from steaming outdoor tubs or wrapped in thick blankets on private balconies. This part of Iceland carries the feeling of deep time. Ice forms over centuries and melts in moments. Mountains rise from lava, only to be worn down again by water and wind. There's a rhythm to it all, slow and steady and vast, like a lullaby that has no end. As night descends on the glacier's edge, the stars appear bright and close. The aurora returns, undulating slowly across the sky like breath, like a hand reaching down to soothe the earth. In the hush of this frozen world, sleep comes not as an interruption, but as a continuation of the peace that surrounds. The journey into Iceland's East Fjords begins with winding roads that hug the coast, carving their way between steep mountains and narrow inlets. Here the sea feels close and constant, always at the edge of vision, always murmuring softly against the shore. The cliffs rise high and rugged, their faces streaked with snow and shadow, while waterfalls drop like threads from the heights. With each turn a new fjord appears, deep and still, guarded by peaks like silent watchmen. Villages dot the coastline, small and self-contained, where painted houses nestle into the land like they've always belonged. In Seyðisfjörður, one of the most picturesque of these towns, the buildings are mirrored in the calm waters of the fjord, and the bright blue church stands quietly at the center. Artists, writers, and travelers often find themselves drawn here, and it's easy to understand why. The light, the pace, the peace. Even the footsteps seem softer in the snow. Beyond the village lies Skálanes, a nature reserve where reindeer roam and seabirds wheel overhead. In winter, the trails are quiet, leading past old farmhouses and across tundra that stretches toward the sea. The wind brushes over the grass and snow, and the only sound is the crunch of boots and the distant cry of gulls. It is a place for reflection, for slowing down, for simply being. Further south, the town of Djúpivogur offers a warm welcome beside a windswept harbor. Here carved stone eggs rest along the shoreline, a public art piece called Eggin í Gleðivík, representing local bird species. Their smooth forms glisten under frost, strange and calming. The harbor itself is quiet in winter, boats tied fast and gently creaking. Inside the local cafes, warm soup and fresh bread soothe the traveler's chill. Staying in this region offers a different rhythm, one that invites long pauses and deep rest. The Hotel Aldan in Seyðisfjörður, housed in historic wooden buildings, provides simple comfort and thoughtful design. Rooms look out onto snow-blanketed streets and the fjord beyond, where the stillness of the landscape seems to settle into the walls. At night, the aurora often graces the skies above, its slow motion mirrored in the water below. The East Fjords are a place of quiet grandeur, less visited, less hurried, deeply rewarding. Here you are never far from a hidden cove or a mountain path that leads to solitude. The villages feel timeless, and the sea seems to hold the memory of every tide that ever came and went. It is a land that holds you gently, without asking anything in return. As darkness gathers, the stars blink over the ridgelines, and the fjord reflects their glimmer. It's a silence that doesn't feel empty. It feels full and deep and kind. And beneath that sky, the heart finds rest. As the road winds northward, Iceland's rawness softens into vast open fields and gentle slopes draped in white. North Iceland is quieter still, where the spaces between towns grow wide and the sky stretches endlessly above. This part of the country feels older somehow, wiser, more weathered, content in its solitude. The air is crisp, and the silence seems to settle deeper into the bones. Akureyri, often called the capital of the north, sits snug at the end of a fjord, its streets lined with red traffic lights shaped like hearts. In winter, the mountains rise like sentinels behind the town, and the rooftops wear neat caps of snow. Christmas lights linger long after the holidays, casting warm glows into the dusk. The town feels sheltered, like a well-kept secret that's in no hurry to be found. Just outside Akureyri, snow-covered hills give way to steaming earth. At Mývatn, the landscape turns surreal, a highland plateau of frozen lakes, lava pillars, and geothermal vents. The lake itself, almost always partially frozen, reflects the pale sky like frosted glass. Around its edges, pseudocraters dot the land, and flocks of hardy birds gather where the waters remain warm. The contrast of ice and fire is everywhere. Not far away, the bubbling mud pools and sulfur vents of Veria hiss in the cold, their vapors drifting like ghosts across the snow. The ground here glows in shades of rust and ochre, strange and otherworldly. Just up the hill, the Namafjall geothermal area offers an overlook that stretches for miles. It is a place to feel small in the best way, to breathe slowly and watch the earth exhale. The nearby village of Húsavík, known for summer whale watching, retreats into calm in the winter months. Fishing boats rest in the harbor, their masts clicking softly in the wind. A small church rises at the town's center, and steam curls from chimneys. The geo-sea baths carved into the cliffs offer warm saltwater infinity pools with views over the Arctic Sea. Here even the sea feels like it's dreaming. Lodging in the north is simple and thoughtful. The Siglo Hotel in Siglufjordur is one such place, nestled between mountains and fjord. Windows open to quiet views of fishing boats moored in still water, and rooms are warmed by wooden floors and woolen blankets. Outside, snowflakes drift like feathers. Inside, time feels like it's paused, just long enough for deep rest. There is a deep calm in North Iceland, as if the land itself has exhaled and settled into stillness. The volcanoes here do not roar, they sleep, softened by snow, outlined in twilight. Even the aurora, when it comes, feels slower, more meditative, as though moving in rhythm with the earth. And as night wraps its arms around this gentle landscape, the stillness becomes complete. No urgency, no noise, just the deep quiet of a northern night. Westward now, the land narrows into a finger of rock and snow called the Snæfellsnes Peninsula, often called Iceland in miniature. It holds within its modest reach nearly every landscape the country offers. Mountains, lava fields, beaches, fjords, and glaciers are all found here. The peninsula unfolds in quiet drama, its silence only broken by the crunch of tires on icy gravel or the distant calls of seabirds circling above. Beneath the winter sky, it feels like a place set slightly apart from time. At the heart of the peninsula rises Snæfellsjökull, the glacier-capped volcano that inspired Jules Verne's journey to the center of the earth. Even in the colder months, when clouds drift low and snow thickens on its slopes, the glacier exerts a mysterious pull. Locals speak of it with quiet reverence. It's more than a mountain here, it's a presence, a keeper of stories, a silent guardian watching the waves. Kirkjufell, the church mountain, stands on the peninsula's north side, its peak rising steeply from the shoreline like a spire. It's one of the most photographed landmarks in Iceland, yet in winter it feels surprisingly private. Jökulsárlón waterfall tumbles gently beside it, its edges frozen in quiet artistry. The whole scene becomes a still life. Water, stone, ice, and sky arranged with care. Lava fields stretch across parts of the peninsula, black rock dusted with snow, forming strange sculptures and pathways that twist and meander. Near the village of Anastapi, cliffs fall sharply into the sea, and the wind whistles through stone arches carved by the tide. The coastline feels alive, fierce, and somehow watchful. Sea spray mixes with frost on the rocks, and the waves speak in steady ancient rhythms. Inland, horses with thick winter coats graze along frozen pastures, their breath rising in gentle plumes. The Icelandic horse, sturdy and serene, moves with calm purpose across this winter land. Many farms in the region welcome guests to visit their stables, and travelers find peace in brushing thick manes or walking slowly beside these quiet companions. Their presence feels grounding, their stillness contagious. The village of Jökulsárlón provides a warm resting point, perched along a calm bay dotted with islands. Its harbor is lined with red-roofed buildings, and the town church, a modern shape of curves and angles, stands high on a hill. From the water's edge, the northern lights often rise over the fjord in waves of emerald and violet. In that stillness, with a cup of herbal tea in hand and snow soft beneath the boots, the world feels simple again. The Hotel Jökulsárlón welcomes guests with minimalist comfort and long views over the sea. Rooms are bright and clean, warmed by wool blankets and the scent of fresh bread from the kitchen. Outside, the wind may howl, but inside, peace holds steady. A book, a view, and a night sky that glows like a memory. In the hush of Snæfellsnes, the stories live in the land, in the stone, in the snow, in the wind. And tonight, under a canopy of stars and light, those stories drift gently through the dreams of those who sleep. The West Fjords reach out like a quiet hand into the North Atlantic, their fingers made of steep cliffs, deep fjords, and snow-laced ridges. Remote and rarely visited, this is a place where the roads narrow and the hours stretch long. The sea glimmers cold and constant, always near, always whispering against the rock. In winter, the West Fjords feel untouched, as though nature here still holds the final word. The journey begins on winding roads, some carved into the sides of sheer mountains, others hugging the coast where waves rise and fall like breath. Hairpin turns lead to sweeping views, where snow and sea blend into a quiet blur. Travelers pass frozen waterfalls clinging to cliffs and frozen lakes, tucked into valleys, where only wind dares linger. Even the air seems older here. Ísafjörður, the largest town in the region, rests between mountain walls like a tucked-in thought. Its harbor holds a few fishing boats, their ropes stiff with ice, their decks brushed with frost, snow blankets rooftops in neat white rows, and the streets remain still but for the occasional local crossing, in thick boots and wool. The town glows warmly at dusk, a constellation of golden windows on the edge of the cold sea. West of town the path leads to Bolafjall, where a viewing platform juts out over a fjord far below. In clear weather, the ocean stretches endlessly, broken only by the rise of silent cliffs and the shimmer of distant snowfall. The wind hums here, not harsh but steady, as if reciting old lullabies. Visitors stand quietly, bundled and hushed, letting the view press its stillness into them. Farther south lies Dynjandi, the jewel of the West Fjords, a majestic waterfall that fans out across layers of rock like a bridal veil frozen in motion. In winter, the flow continues beneath a veil of ice half heard and half seen. Snow gathers at its base, and silence wraps the cliffs around it like a second skin. There is no path here but footprints in the snow, no sound but water and wind. In this region, accommodations are few and humble but deeply comforting. Guest houses like Holt Inn or Heydalur Farm offer fireside meals, warm woolen bedding and views of untouched slopes. It is not luxury in the traditional sense, but in a deeper one. The luxury of stillness, of unfiltered nature, of time slowed to the pace of snow falling on stone. Even the meals feel slow and nourishing. Lamb stew, fresh-baked bread, berry preserves from summer's memory. At night, there is often no one for miles. Just the sky and perhaps the shimmer of auroras moving gently above the dark fjords. The sea sleeps beside the land, and the mountains keep watch. In this quietest corner of Iceland, dreams drift like snowflakes, light, slow, and endless. The Highlands of Iceland are a vast uninhabited wilderness, closed to most travelers in the depths of winter. Yet even unseen, this interior land shapes the soul of the island. Beneath blankets of snow and across windswept plateaus, volcanoes sleep, rivers freeze mid-rush, and lava fields rest in stillness. The quiet here is not just the absence of sound, it is the presence of something older than memory. Though most highland roads are impassable in winter, a few guided super jeep tours venture into this remote realm. These immense vehicles, tires thick as barrels, climb over frozen rivers and up icy slopes, carrying travelers where silence reigns. Inside, warm and wrapped in wool, guests peer out through fogged windows at endless white. Outside, the snow falls without hurry, as if even time slows to respect the land. One such route leads toward Landmannalaugar, a region known in warmer months for its rainbow-colored rhyolite mountains and geothermal springs. In winter, those colors sleep beneath frost, but the curves of the land remain beautiful. Gentle, sweeping ridges fading into pale blue skies. Ice crusts over streams and frozen mist clings to stone. The hot springs still flow, steaming softly, their warmth an echo in the cold. Elsewhere in the highlands, volcanic deserts stretch across the landscape, blanketed now in snow but still shaped by eruptions long past. Mount Hekla rises in the distance, its summit often capped with clouds, its history long and unpredictable. Beneath the snow lies ash, lava and fire, silent for now. The vastness humbles without effort. Amid this expanse stands the Highland base at Jökulsárlón, a sustainable lodge that remains open in all seasons. In winter, it is a refuge amid the frozen highlands, a place of glowing windows, thick blankets and geothermal heat. Guests dine on local lamb and root vegetables, while snow swirls outside. Some brave the paths to soak in natural hot springs under an open sky, steam drifting into the darkness. The highlands are not for hurrying. They ask only for stillness, for presence. There are no crowds here, no towns, no glowing signs, just earth and sky and the quiet sound of one's own breath in the cold. And in that simplicity, the mind begins to unburden itself. As the super jeep turns back toward the coast, the world seems wider, more spacious. The night falls slowly behind the mountains, and the stars rise undisturbed. Somewhere out there, the land continues in silence, waiting patiently beneath the snow. And with that thought, rest comes easily. The journey through Iceland draws to a close, but the quiet it brings remains. From the bustling cafes of Reykjavík to the frozen silence of the Highlands, each part of this land has offered its own lullaby. It's a place that reveals itself not all at once, but in layers, in light, in sound, in touch. As the last night falls, it feels less like leaving and more like waking from a gentle dream. The aurora borealis has been a companion along the way, painting the skies with shifting color, quiet and unasked for. Now, one last time, the curtains of green and violet ripple across the dark, as if offering a farewell. Beneath them, the snow reflects their glow like memory held in ice. There is no rush, no need. Just presence. Just this moment. Even the small details linger. The crunch of boots on fresh snow, the smell of birchwood smoke curling from a chimney, the soft hum of geothermal water rising in pools, the touch of wool against the skin, the taste of rye bread still warm from the oven. These fragments form a mosaic that stays long after the road ends. Iceland is not just seen, it's felt and remembered in silence. At the airport outside Reykjavík, travelers speak in hushed tones, voices softened by the calm that the country leaves behind. Through tall glass windows, the dark sky holds its light, and snow drifts quietly along the edges of the runway. The wind no longer feels cold, it feels familiar, as if the land itself is whispering, "Come back when you're tired again." For now the journey has ended, but the hush of glaciers, the echo of waterfalls, the breath of the wind through basalt cliffs, all continue just beyond the edge of sleep. And in dreams, the roads still curve along snowy coasts, the stars still blink over distant fjords, and the lights still dance above it all. So close your eyes, let the last breath of Iceland lull you to rest, and drift into sleep beneath the northern skies. We hope you enjoyed today's serene journey and found peace in our gentle narration. Do join us next time as we make a relaxing visit to another of the world's most iconic places. Sweet dreams and safe travels until we meet again.